What's going on, you guys? I've got a Legion terrain review today, and we're looking at a lot of different pieces from Corvus Games Terrain. They sent out to me to take a look at and review for you guys, so big thanks to them. So far, I really like this stuff, but we're going to take a closer look at it and talk about all of the pros and cons for this stuff. Let you know what I think, and there's some really nice little surprises here as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at these different pieces. So the first two pieces we're going to be looking at right now are City Small House 1 and City Small House 2. Now these are just some generic city buildings that will work in just about any type of setting. You have one that's a little bit smaller and one that's a little bit larger. Now their basic measurements, this one is for City Small House 1, this is still going to be height 1. I've got a basic movement tool. These are 6 inches long, but for City Small House 2, so this stops here. It's just over 6 inches tall, which is pretty important because if we do our measurement here, it looks like it's about 6 1/4, or let me do centimeters. It looks like it's about 15 and a half centimeters tall. And as far as width, we're looking at about almost 12 centimeters long, and that's almost 5 inches long as well. Pretty much cubic, although it is got a little bit of an indentation right here. Gives you a little bit of flexibility on how you want to maneuver, folks. And these buildings are actually really nice for a number of reasons. One of the things that I want to point out here, let's take these guys off. We're going to look at the smaller one first. First off, there's a whole lot of extra detail on the building itself. So I'm just going to turn it around slowly. You can see the door in here. You've got panels. You've got windows. You can see you could even, stick a gun out. And you can do all kinds of modifications with that. Now, there's no open door on this one, so you can't actually move inside. However, if you wanted to just have some smoke effects or some things going on inside there that are visible, gives you a little bit of flexibility to be able to do that. One of the things that I really like about this building is that it's got a ladder as well as an open area up here. So this is particularly nice, in buildings like this, since snipers are coming out with the Special Forces pack. Then having your snipers up on higher altitude so that they can get longer shots is more important now than ever. So, and the same thing applies to even if you don't have the Special Forces yet, but even to your Range 4 troopers, your DLT-19s. Another thing I haven't talked about yet is that you have definitely enough room for a lot of troops. Let's see how many troops we can fit up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 comfortably. When there's no unit in the game that can take 8 troops, well, at least not at this time, not at the time that I'm recording this video. So you have no problem fitting an entire unit on top of this building. And this is the smaller building. But another thing that's really good about these is that the top comes off, which is really, really cool. So if you do want to put something in there, or if you do want to modify things, you can do that. Very cool. It's just a nice option to be able to do. And the reason why that's cool is because it's going to be even more important when we look at the larger of the buildings. We can take these guys off. The top comes off of this one as well, but there's a second layer, or second level. So you can really customize these quite a bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at this building as a whole first. We still also have a door. We've got more windows. We've got grating. A lot of detail here. A lot of detail. So again, this is a lot better than just putting your pots and pans or books or cardboard down on the ground. You've got air conditioning, pipes, electric terminals, vents, all kinds of that. And this is generic enough that will work in any setting. And that's something that I look forward to, because a lot of people are using various different types of backgrounds and settings. A lot of people are using Endor. A lot of people are using Tatooine or Jeddah, and I'm using Hoth. And so not as many people are doing a lot of Hoth-based terrain. And of course, I don't want to break anything here, but you have these different grooves here where they lock in, which actually makes them fit pretty well. They're once we get it in there, there we go. Now it's locked in there. It's actually pretty sturdy. This is not going to move. It's not going to slide off, and so it's a pretty good locking system. Once you get it in, it's locked in there real good. Obviously, when I'm twirling it around, it can come off, and it can pick up directly up pretty easily as well. And so if you decide you want this one to be lower, you can just put the roof on the second level. And now you've got two small buildings, and you could even use this one as a third building if you wanted to set it to the side like so. So you have a lot of flexibility with these. So they're really nice pieces. And now for this larger roof, we said we could fit 8 on that one. Let's see how many we can fit here. We can also have a little extra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Putting snowtroopers in here. 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11. Can we fit 11? 11. Although this one guy is kind. Oh, yep. We can fit 11 troops on that one. So that's a place you can put a couple. Maybe when you get a couple of the strike teams, you want to deploy a couple of them on top. You could easily, since a strike team comes in a 2-man unit, you could easily drop multiple strike teams on top of a roof and have all of your snipers up beyond distance 1, outside of like Luke's jump range. Although technically this part is just within the 6 inches, so Luke would be able to jump up to there if he wanted to, if he came around from the back. So keep that in mind when you set these things up. They are pretty versatile. How does this go? Let's see. It goes like that. And the other thing that's good about this particular piece is it does have the ladder on the other side. Again, ladders are something that actually is functional in the game as well. Units can climb up those without having to clamber, without having to roll dice. Just makes for a very simple move. And so ladders are very functional, and I definitely dig it. So, liking these two pieces. Let's look at some more. You know, like you're almost as tall as the ATST right here. You know, I'm liking that. Alright, the next piece is the Droid Maintenance Workshop. Now this one is got a lot of different pieces and is very customizable. First thing I want to draw your attention to is there's a couple of ways in. You have an area down here where guys can go through. You also have an interior to the building where units can go inside as well. So buildings with interiors are always very, very interesting as far as gameplay, because somebody can potentially take an objective in there, or you can have, you know, a commander kind of hide out in there so they can't be killed. It keeps you safe from sniper fire, which is definitely a thing that's going to become more prevalent as the coming waves approach. So let's talk about this inside facility. Again, like our other buildings, it is multi-tiered, and this is the largest one yet. We've got our first tier right there, and this is very large on top. You have a lot of interior room, much larger than the other two. Then we have our second tier, which is going to go on top, and we'll take a closer look at these. I just kind of want to show you the lay of the land, so to speak. Then we have this top tier piece, which is very cool. It's got the roof on here as well, but there's all kinds of interior detail that you can't even get to. Or I mean, you can put units there, but the fact that there's a control panel on the wall in there, and that's something you're not even going to really see if you're playing overhead. So just the little extra bits of detail are really, really nice. And so I'm very, very impressed with just how much paneling and detail there is here. Because, you know, you can play on it. It's really the shape and the height that matters, but that extra little bits of immersion really go a long way. And you also have a ladder on here as well. So now, measuring the height of this one's easily over height 1. It's not going to be quite height 2. You'd have to be over 12 inches there. The top of this facility is over 8. You're looking at about just a little over 8 1/4 inches for centimeters. Let's see. We're at about 21 or 20, just under 21 centimeters. So maybe 20 3/4 centimeters. Very, very tall at this part here. So I'm totally digging that height, especially with snipers, especially with any long range or range 4 troopers. I'm definitely digging that. And I love how modular this is as well. because if you pick this piece up, you've got all of these walls here that you can totally reconfigure in multiple different ways. You've got different curved areas like so. You can have them going in and out. You can do a lot of different builds and configurations. So let's take a closer look at some of these pieces. First off, our walls have a lot of paneling on them, and they're not all the same size, and they are not all duplicates of each other. We've got this long wall, a lot of detailing, and then we have indentations. Now these are for magnets in case you want to magnetize your pieces so that they will stay a little bit tougher against the other pieces. Now I personally don't do this just because magnetizing in this way, you have to make sure your polarity is correct because you don't want them to repulse against each other. However, I haven't done it yet, and so there's a little part of me that's afraid I'm going to screw it up, so I'm just being a coward there. Now the interior of this one's very sheer. However, if we look on our other piece, which is smaller, you'll notice that it has crates on the outside. So you're getting all kinds of extra little details with each piece, which is just a nice thing because this one doesn't have those. It has a pipe as well as some different armor plating. So you have one piece with a crate. We have our entranceway, which has access panels here, and you could even say that it's closed. You could put a ray shield in front of it and just say, okay, it's off. If you wanted to homebrew some of your rules, you could do that. Now we have our curved pieces. Now the curved pieces are all going to be different as well. This comes with 3 curved pieces, and the interior of this one is loaded with all types of bits. We've got some extra crates. We've got droid pieces. It looks like a droid head right there on top. So all kinds of fun little Easter eggs that you can find. And that's one thing I love about some of this terrain. Now we do have a smooth piece. This one is not a whole lot going on with this one. We do have some pipes and some things just to make it stand out and be a little bit more unique. Not every piece has to be super busy. As a matter of fact, having pieces that aren't quite so busy draws extra attention to when a piece is busy. Like this one, another curved one. We've got all kinds of stuff in here. We've got some more crates. I think it's some type of power generator. I think this is a kiln where they're making ceramic mugs. Or maybe this is their own 3D printer where they're making terrain. And we have a little wrecked droid down there. Maybe Jabba was unhappy with him. And we also have some extra power generators or something like that on the outside. Maybe this can be Tashi Station. And these are the power converters that Luke meant to pick up. So you can actually build your own Tashi station that way. And then lastly, we have this piece, which is just an anchor to lock it into one side. And you can really set this up however you want. If you want your door to be on the outside, and maybe you can put this little piece right here, and then start building them around that way. Yeah, you can do a lot of different things with this, and you can deploy your troops up on top of this thing as well. There's a lot of different ways to set troops up, and I'm just really digging it. And I'm digging that you can have kind of a base as well. I'm a big fan of walls. I like to use walls in a lot of my games, and but not necessarily super tall walls because maybe I want my ATST to be able to fire over the walls. That's going to work, but somebody who's this building here, the closed side, would totally block the ATST because just take a look at how big this is compared to the ATST. This is just a really nice piece. Could make for a really good centerpiece. Or if you have 2 of these, you could put them in maybe different corners. Maybe make them a little bit asymmetrical. You don't want it to be perfectly symmetrical, but yeah, this is really tall. And now I don't have my ATST at maximum height, but I do have it at a pretty good medium height. You can see the legs are elevated a little bit, but not completely stretched out because I wanted it to look natural. It's one of the cool things about ATSTs is you can change their height, and the taller you make them, the more rockets they're susceptible to. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But but this centerpiece is just magnificent. Whoops, Han and Leia. Let's sit them downstairs. They can, they can go inside and make a little den for us behind closed doors. But yeah, I'm really digging. Don't break my minis. I just crushed Vader with this house. And the other thing is that it's modular too. So if I want it to just be a little bit shorter, I can put that right on there, and I can use this piece somewhere else. So there's a lot of options that you can do, and you can connect the pieces with the walls. You can draw up a ton of different configurations. So this next piece is actually kind of interesting. I think this may be one of the shorter pieces. This one comes in at only at about 5 inches tall, just under 5 for centimeters. If we go from bottom to top, well, I gotta do it the other way around because, yeah, we're looking at about 11.5 centimeters tall. So not necessarily the tallest piece, but it's interesting because, can you guess what it is? Can you guess? This is the Pumping Station Galactic Dice Tower. So this is actually functional in multiple different ways. It's a dice tower, so let's see. And it's a dice tower and tray. Very, very cool. I don't have that many dice towers. I have one from Zombicide that I sometimes use, and it's a really good idea to have a dice tower in this game so you don't knock minis over. A lot of people like to roll their dice kind of crazy, and they tend to go off the table or whatever, so it's nice that you have a tray here as well. But this actually has a pretty good sound to it as well. So this is actually 3 different pieces. So first off, you have just the dice tower by itself, and then you have these other 2 pieces that are the trays, and they come apart for easier transport, and you can put them together or for storage. You could even use this as a terrain piece if you wanted to. Like having stuff like this, you can totally set it up however you want. So I really like the flexibility that you get with a lot of these things. However, maybe you don't want all that, and you just want this to actually function as a station out in the open, and you don't mind knocking over your troops. Let's see what happens. There we go. So I did bump my troops a little bit. I'm not a big fan of bumping my troops, so if I run this, I will probably run it with both pieces. So let's take a closer look at the dice tower itself. So as you can see inside, pretty standard. It's got a couple of falls. It's going to bump a little bit and come out this way. It almost resembles a carbon freezing chamber, right? Maybe you're going to start Han Solo right in there, coming out and being frozen. If somebody does a Han Solo in Carbonite for this game, I think it's probably already been done. I just haven't seen it yet. I think that would be really cool to have it sliding out of a piece like this. Now these pieces can be used as either terrain or just as the tray. I kind of like, and you can have this off the board or on the board as well. One of the things that might be kind of fun, and I would suggest running this and treating it as though it's maybe ray shielded. So it's a piece of terrain you can use in your games that perhaps units just simply can't climb over. Perhaps it's force field protected and just prevents movement. So have it be impassable terrain, because that would kind of defeat the whole purpose of having a dice tower that doesn't hit your minis if you actually move your minis into the tray. Now, granted, you have a lot of different options here. You could just have this off the table completely and just have a thematic, cool-looking piece. However, I like to have pieces on the table, so you could treat it a couple of different ways. Now, I think if you're going to deploy this, you probably put it to one side, maybe where it's not a highly contested area, so that your units and troops can totally just move, and not have to worry about moving directly in here. But the beauty of this game is that terrain is up to you and your opponent. You guys need to just determine how you guys want to handle it. If you want to say that this terrain is going to be, it's okay to block shots and block line of sight on the board, but units can't move in it, no problem. Maybe they can move through it. Maybe your speeder bikes can move through it, but can't stop on it. Maybe it's got a bubble shield. Maybe it's got radioactivity, and everybody just wants to stay away. You decide how you want to use it, but I love it, and it seems like it's giving me good results. It seems like it's giving me really good results. Wow, I just got 3 defense. That's okay. Let's see how the white dice roll with it. Just white dice. Oh, okay. Well, 2 blanks. A crit. Crit's good. Okay, so, well, all right. So maybe but see, I always roll good white dice. Let's see how the red and black go. Hit. Not bad. I'll try one more time. The last one, let's see how it goes. Hit and a blank. So law of averages seems to be coming out about normal, but really good for the defense dice. Maybe I'll just use this for D6s. What do you think? Alright, well, let's see how these guys look with a little bit of primer and paint. Just a little bit, just to try to bring out some of the details, see if it changes the way that they look. Alright, now here is everything. Basically just done with a real quick 2-tone coat. And just so you know what I have done is I do a coat of like blue with this Krylon Fusion matte ink blue. And then I let that dry, and I kind of go over real quick with this metallic aluminum just to kind of give my buildings kind of an industrial look with a little bit of a blue underneath. So I'm going to come in a little closer now. This is, and I do the aluminum from the top down to kind of still hit some of the detailing and still kind of leave, you know, just to kind of hit the highlights and everything. And I'm pretty much a big fan of doing it this way. It's very, you get a lot of effort for very, very little work. And now at my leisure, I can come back in and paint the doors and paint wires and do extra little bit like paint the crates, and I can do all that, but that stuff can take a long time. And if you want to get a little bit of extra detail beyond just the color of the way it comes 3D printed, that's one thing you can do. By the way, for 3D printing, these actually came printed from Panhandle 3D Printing right here in Florida too, so be sure and check them out as well. I will put a link to them in the description below as well. But big thanks to them, and big thanks to Corvus Games Terrain for providing this for your review. I will actually look forward to using this in some upcoming battle reports as well. Big fan of the way that this turned out. High quality stuff, very versatile. And I guess the big takeaways here are that the fact that it's versatile, you can do a lot of different configurations with it. I especially like that the buildings have multiple floors, so versatility and height are the two biggest things. And I mean, the detail is just icing on the cake. Just how pretty everything looks and how much options you have with it is just really, really great. Especially being tall. You know, having terrain that Luke can't necessarily jump over is always nice, but maybe Boba Fett can. So all of that stuff is really going to be very, very fun. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you want to make a purchase from Corvus Games and get some STL files and print it yourself, or get it printed and sent to you, you know, just let them know where you heard about them as well. And you know, yeah, I think it'd be great. This is really good stuff, so definitely recommend them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.